Do not get comfortable in this chapter of your life. And I want this video to be very quick, straight to the point. So just stick with me for 10 to 15 minutes. And I promise it will change your mindset forever. But you have to realize that every season, every chapter of your life can have a purpose if you choose to give it one. And right now, you might be in a dark season right now, or maybe you're not, but just carry this mindset through life in general. But right now, you might be blinded by a lot of emotions, or you've been blinded by a lot of emotions in your past where you didn't see how this moment is serving a purpose. You didn't see the reason. You didn't feel like you don't understand why you're going through what you're going through. And I want you to understand that it's all preparing you for something that is bigger than this moment. I want you to picture it like a book. Many of you have a book that you're writing and you're in a bad chapter right now. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of negativity. There seems to be nothing going your way. There seems like, everything's going against you. Everything's making you have to go through all this suffering. And sometimes that's exactly what gives our book value. That's sometimes what makes our story so intriguing towards other people, because they hear everything you went through in order to get to where you're going. But the thing is that we don't understand how where we are right now is really bringing our whole entire story together. So sometimes we're reading a book and we're seeing, we just don't know where it's headed. We don't know where the story's headed because the character's going through all these different things. We're like, this isn't matching the title of the book. How can this lead to a better outcome? How the heck is this person going to get out of this? And it doesn't make sense. And sometimes that's what life is like. It doesn't make sense. We don't see how we're going to accomplish this dream, how we're going to get this job, how we're going to get this career, how we're going to get to this place in life that we envision ourselves being at. We don't see how we're going to heal from this relationship, how we're ever going to recover from this financial situation or this pain. We don't see a way out. Sometimes we're in darkness and there simply is no light. And that's how life gets sometimes. I'm a firm believer that sometimes you can't lie yourself out of it. Sometimes you can't think yourself out of it. Sometimes there isn't positivity going on, but you have to find the positivity in it. You have to almost make up your own positivity from your own mindset. It's a mindset of what I'm going through right now is serving a bigger purpose. It's teaching me certain lessons that I didn't even know or understand in the past, because I believe that sometimes you got to go through pain in order to learn certain necessary lessons, because until you go through that pain, there's no way that you can learn that lesson. It could be the lesson of heartbreak. It could be the lesson of learning how to love yourself. It could be the lesson of understanding not to touch the stove. It's until you actually go out and experience something in life that you learn certain things, and it all comes around full circle. For myself, if you don't know my story, I went through a bad situationship or a bad couple of relationships with certain people where I had no idea it would lead me to where I am today. Everything that I teach you guys now, everything that I talk about in my videos, the reason why you guys find me so inspiring and stuff like that is because I've been through stuff in my past. But you don't think when I was going through those things that I was thinking about, oh, this is going to allow me to help other people. This is going to lead me to doing YouTube. This is going to lead me to doing content creation. No, in that moment, I had no idea what purpose it was serving. And I'm not going to lie, back then, I didn't even have the mindset to even think like that. But it was when I started getting out of that season, when I finally did start seeing the light, new opportunities, new things started, coming towards me. And I started saying, oh, I could do this. Oh, I could do that. Maybe I could turn this into this. Maybe this is teaching me this. I started developing my mindset, and I started seeing different opportunities and ways in which I could turn my pain into a bigger purpose. But sometimes when we're in the midst of our pain and so many different emotions, so many different feelings, we don't see the bigger purpose. But that doesn't mean that purpose isn't there. And so sometimes you got to understand certain people coming in and out of our life, certain people making decisions, certain people hurting us in certain ways. Sometimes it's pointing us in a direction that we've never been pointed towards before in order to learn certain lessons, in order to discover different things. Sometimes certain people coming into my life, I wouldn't even know who I am without those people. Sometimes I feel like I grew the most from the people who hurt me the most, because they came into my life and they gave me experience that I never had before. And so it was like, dang, had that person not come into my life, done this, and this, and this, I wouldn't even know this part about me. I wouldn't even know I'm good at this. I wouldn't even know to value these different things. And although, yes, it may not in the end it how I wanted it to end, my life is nothing without that chapter. My life is nothing without that season of my life. And so sometimes you have to realize that your story is valuable and you are a valuable person because of where you're going and what you've been through and what all it took for you to actually get there. Because you ever look at a person's story and it's like, dang, they went through so much. They overcame this. They went through that. They did these things. They dealt with this depression and they overcame that. Like they came from this family. Like you ever look at somebody's story and it's like, dang, that's what made it so valuable. That's what made it so impactful. That's what made it so inspirational, is because of what all they went through in order to still get to where they were. The mindset and the resilience to keep pushing forward through everything they went through. And so sometimes you got to realize, like, sometimes your story may not look like everybody else's. Some people do got it easier. I'm not going to lie. Like, some people do got it easier, but I will argue that makes their story less valuable. That makes it less impactful. Like, imagine you had a friend and your friend was telling you, yeah, I got a BMW, I got a Mercedes, I got all this money, I got all these materialistic things. And you're like, well, how do you get all those things? And they're like, well, you know, my dad helped me out. My dad owns this business, owns this company. My mom does this. I get paid an allowance. Like, that story's not impactful to you because it doesn't resonate with you. You don't relate to it. Like, there's no value to it because there was no story behind it to help them get those things. It was given to them. And so it's like, that's invaluable. I even have for myself, like today, I was driving my dad's truck and I'm thinking, like, I'm driving this truck and I don't really care how I'm driving. And when I say I don't care how I'm driving, I mean, like, I'm flooring it. Like, I'm going 90, 100 miles per hour. I'm pushing it. I'm having fun in the truck because the engine's like nicer and it's faster. But then when it comes to my own car, I'm a lot more careful. I'm a lot more intentional. You know, I care more about the tire pressure, whether the engine light's on. I'm making sure the oil upkeep with it. You know, I'm not killing the engine. You know, I care about it because I know what all I went through to get that car. I know what all I went through in order to be able to buy that car. So I value it a lot more. And so your story becomes a lot more valuable and a lot more, you know, impactful towards other people when they know everything you've been through. And so sometimes you got to look at what you're going through now and say, you know, in the end, this is all going to come full circle, and really, it's going to be a testimony as to what other people are capable of. Sometimes it's going to point you towards your purpose. Sometimes what you're going through right now, the very thing that's holding you down is going to be the very thing that you end up teaching other people. You know, the very thing that made me depressed, the very thing that held me down in life was, you know, not loving myself and noticing the impacts of not loving myself. And now I preach self-love. Now I preach self-worth. Now I preach respecting yourself, because those are the very things in which I went through that held me down and had me in a dark place. And so I know what it's like to be there. And so in knowing what it's like to be there inspired me to help other people who might be there right now. I'm saying all this to say, like, don't let one bad chapter write the entire book, because I believe that sometimes you could get so caught up in what you're going through right now, or the seasons that you've been through, or the chapters that you're in right now, that you don't ever change the chapter. You let it write the entire book. You let one negative chapter determine that the rest of your life is going to be a negative chapter, or that all the chapters moving forward are going to be negative. You allow one failure to determine you're going to fail all other times in life. You allow where you are right now to predict how the rest of your life is going to go. And so I'm just saying that to say, sometimes you see characters overcome certain chapters. Certain chapters are bad and it's full of a lot of negativity. And you see how it progresses them throughout the story. You see they consistently strive to become a better character or get into a better place. And so some of y'all might have a negative mindset right now. You might have a lot of different fears. You might be held back by a lot of different insecurities, but don't get comfortable in that chapter to the point that you allow that to be the rest of your story. You can either continue to keep writing your story, a new story, trying to write a new story, and you know, find new characters and develop your character, help them grow throughout the story. Or you could just keep writing the same story, just in different words. You know, a story of negativity, a story of different limitations, a story of a bunch of insecurities. You know, you can have the same story just in different words, essentially. You know, you're just complaining about different things. You're just complaining about all the negative things that seem to be going wrong and how, you know, the world's never working out for you. But you have to understand that just because it's one bad chapter doesn't mean the rest of the chapters have to also be bad, but it's in what you decide to write. Because some of y'all get so comfortable in your pain, you get so comfortable in your circumstances to the point that you accept that that's how things are. That's how things are forever going to be. And you make no effort to change. And so what I'm saying is you have to consistently strive to put yourself in a better place, whether that's mentally, whether that's physically, whether that's emotionally. You have to continue to strive for that change. And sometimes you are going to fail. Sometimes you aren't going to fully understand what you need to be doing. But it's the idea of staying resilient and constantly aspiring to change, because you understand that where you are, you don't like, and it isn't for you. You understand that where you are right now isn't the best place for you to be. I understand where I am right now isn't the best place for me to be. I understand I'm capable of a lot more. I see people where I want to be. I see people in different destinations or in different places in life. And I'm like, dang, I'm capable of getting there. I just don't know the slow steps yet. And sometimes that's okay. And sometimes it's the willingness to keep trying to figure out the steps that eventually has you stumble upon them. You know, you keep trying different things, eventually something's going to work. But if you stop trying at all, then you're guaranteed to stay where you're at. But, you know, to sum up the video, man, I know some of y'all are in dark places right now. I know you're in a season. I know you're in a chapter where it's not all making sense. You're not seeing how it's all going to come full circle. You're not sure what role this place or this pain or this frustration, this fear, you don't know what all is playing in your life. But I promise you, it's your willingness to keep moving forward. It's your resilience to keep writing a different book, to keep writing a different story, to not allow the chapters to repeat themselves, the negative chapters to repeat themselves. That's what's going to allow you to, you know, see who it's building you into, see the necessariness in this season and how it all played a role in the person that you're becoming. But if you decide to quit, if you decide to give up, if you decide to just accept your reality for what it is right now, then you'll never be able to see that character development. You'll never be able to see how valuable this place is that you are currently in the role to becoming or getting to the place in which you want to be at. But, you know, again, it may not make sense right now. You may not see a way out, but it's your resilience to keep moving forward that's going to allow you to discover it. But, you know, I love and appreciate you guys as always. Be sure to sign up for my Let and Go to Grow community down in the description. I got a couple things dropping very, very soon, so stay tuned. Be sure to keep updated on the community posts. But, you know, love, appreciate you guys as always. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notices. Catch you guys in the next video. Peace.